What's going on, guys? My name is Nick, and today I'm going to show you how to balance a gimbal. So, as you can see, this one is already pretty stable. If I'm moving around like this, it stays fairly still, but I want to drop it down lower, somewhere around here-ish, so that I can hold it down lower. But when I do that, when I lower it like this, you see the top starts to tilt down. So I need to add more weight on here. And I also want to balance it to where I have this thrown on top. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the camera off here so it doesn't fall over. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew these so I can add my weights on. Now I've got my weights on here. The way you know how much weight you need for your camera, honestly, it depends on your camera, and I couldn't tell you a good way of figuring that out other than just putting it on here and figuring out how much weight you actually need. So I'm watching this back now and I realize how unhelpful that is. If this is your first time setting up a gimbal like this with your camera, watch the whole video. I talk about what's called a drop test. It's not dropping your camera, no. You're holding it and you're dropping the one end. You'll see it, you'll see and you'll understand at the end of the video. But when you're doing your drop test, if you let go, and it just drops like that, that's when you know you need to take some weight off. And I'll pop back in later to explain that. I already knew that 2 of these on one side, on both sides, was enough, so I'm just adding these thick ones and then one on top of that for my camera. So now I'm going to go ahead and throw the microphone on top and let's try to keep everything kind of in one place so that nothing's moving around. I'm gonna put my wire here in between this cage. That way it's not able to move around any. Now that that's on there, you can go ahead and throw this on top of here and start balancing. Something important to note whenever you're balancing a gimbal is you want to make sure everything you're going to have on the camera is on the camera, and if you have a zoom lens like me, you need to make sure you set it to the focal length that you want it to be at, because if you change it later on, it's going to throw off your balance. So I have mine set to somewhere around a little over 21, which gives me a 35mm equivalent. And now we have our gimbal sitting on a flat surface. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick it up to see which way it's going to start tilting. And as you saw there, it started tilting forward, so I need to bring my camera backwards. Back by a lot, actually. We're going to see where it is now. Sounds a little bit too far. I'm gonna bring it up just a little bit. We're gonna see. Okay, it didn't lean forward that time, but when I pick it up, it's leaning to the right a little bit, so I have to grab my knob here, and this one's finicky because this top part gets stuck a lot, so hard to make fine adjustments, but move it to about there. I'm going to tighten it loosely so it hopefully doesn't get stuck. So now we're going to do this, see which way it goes. And actually it's like right on point. Now we're going to do what's called our drop test. We're going to hold it out like this, and we're going to let go and see how long it takes. So this is the part where I'm talking about if you drop it and it just goes down real fast, that's when you need to start taking some weight off. If you do your drop test and it's not like, if it's more like, boom, then you need to take some weight off. What you want to measure or count by is how long it takes to get from here to here. So we drop it out like this, we're going to count 1, 2. That's actually pretty good. We want it to be somewhere between like 1 to 2 seconds. That's where I like to have it, about 1.5 seconds. So we're gonna do it again. 1, 2, so it's about 1.5 seconds. Now, to test, make sure we're actually stable, we're gonna first make sure all of our connections are tight so that nothing moves. So now, I'm gonna hold it out in front of us. First thing we're gonna do is kind of do some of these, moving around. You can see it's staying pretty still, which is great. So now, we have a balanced gimbal. With your drop test, if you want your drop to be a little bit quicker, you want to unscrew this and drop this down a little lower, or if you want it to be a little bit slower, you bring it up a little. But just know, like I had to do, I brought mine up quite a bit. If you raise it up a lot like that, you're going to have to add more weight to the bottom, which also means a heavier setup. But what's great about having a heavier setup is it doesn't jitter as much. But anyways, that's how you balance a gimbal. Thanks for joining me. I'll catch y'all next time. See ya!